Hi everybody. I'm here today to show you the existing 3D Airway module. What we're looking at right now on my screen is a 16 by 17 field of view from the CS9600, which does a great job of capturing essentially the entire maxillofacial complex, including far enough back to capture the entirety of the upper airway here. And to utilize the Airway module, what we're going to do is I like to be under orthogonal slicing or oblique slicing. And once I'm here, really it's as simple as finding a slice that you want to analyze in the lateral view here. This is a good one, but if I wanted to move through, sorry about that. If I wanted to move through the airway, I could do that using the colored movement handles to move through the radiographic slices. But once I've found where I want to evaluate, all I have to do is activate the Airway tool. Clicking on that, that turns blue. And now what I like to do actually is go full screen on the on the sagittal view. And now that I've activated my Airway tool, it's as simple as coming over here and finding the portion of the airway where I want to start my evaluation, do a single click, and then move to the portion where I want to finish my evaluation, double click, and you'll notice that it basically does everything for you from there. It's highlighted that portion of the airway, and when I come here to my different views, I can see, for example, here in the 3D rendering that the airway evaluation has been done there. I can turn the bone down so I can see through the bone. Great patient presentation tools also for airway evaluation to be able to show them this visualization on the 3D as opposed to just radiographically. And so what it's showing me here, you'll notice a few different measurements. The one at the very top is the total volumetric measurement of the portion of the airway that I selected. So we're looking at 14.4 centimeters cubed. Then you'll notice, here, let me zoom in on this. I can actually turn the bone off so we can just focus on the airway. And I can zoom in on this. And you can see these other measurements are relatively close together on this particular patient. But what it's showing me with this first ring that that's the area of the portion of the airway that I evaluated that is the minimum distance right to left at 27.3 millimeters. Then it's showing me just below that, the next value is the smallest slice in area. Again, this is comprehensive of the entirety of the portion that I evaluated. And then lastly, it shows me the slice where it's the smallest anterior to posterior. Now that's the overall evaluation of the airway. You'll notice the values are different though when I look over here at the axial view. And that's because these values are only specific to the actual axial slice that I'm looking at any given time. So if I come full screen here on the axial view, I can scroll my slider on my mouse to scroll through the entirety of the portion of the airway that we evaluated. And you'll see that for every axial slice, it's giving me the area measurement, the right to left measurement, and the anterior posterior measurement as I make my way through the airway. And really, it's about as simple as that to use the Airway tool. I can make modifications to the portions of the airway that I've evaluated. I can do that by grabbing the movement handle at the top or the bottom of the airway to make those modifications in real time. And then my measurements change also in real time to reflect what I've done there. I can also measure independently up to 3 different portions of the same patient's airway to get independent measurements. At any given time on any scan, I can have up to 3. So if I activate my Airway tool and I wanted to evaluate maybe just from here to here, I could do that and get all my measurements for that. I could activate the Airway tool again, come down here, measure from there to there, and I've got independent measurements of each section or portion of the airway that I've evaluated here. Another neat thing, so once I've performed an airway measurement or evaluation, just turn that back on for reference there. Once I've done that, you've got a number of different tools that you can utilize down here in the bottom left. It adds the airway as an analysis to your scan, and that'll always be there whenever I come back in. You can show or hide the different measurements. So I've done a couple different portions there. You can click the eyeball to either show or hide those. You can toggle on or off the object properties, the measurement numbers there. You can change the, let's see. Oh, this is a neat one too. You can actually there's a little target tool right here, and if I hold my mouse on it, you'll notice it says center on minimum cross-sectional area. Let me bring that back up. So what that means is if I click my mouse on that target, it jumps me in all my different radiographic views to the slice that is the minimum, that one was minimum area. Now you'll notice if I hold my mouse on it again, it has the same tooltip, but it's switched now to minimum right to left distance. So if I click on the target now, it takes me to the slice that's minimum right to left. And if I click it again, it'll center me on the minimum anterior posterior. And then it cycles back through to minimum cross-section area. So it's a neat way to radiographically jump from point to point without having to slide through your slices or use the movement handles. You'll also notice that if I go up here into the 3D software settings under preferences, I have a section in here just for Airway and to tell the Airway software how to behave on your computer, on your workstation. And you'll notice that all the values here are editable, as new studies and data comes out. If you need to update your thresholds, you can do that right here under your settings and preferences. But again, utilizing the Airway Evaluation tool is relatively simple and straightforward. Just take you through a basic one again. I activate my Airway tool. I come over to the sagittal view, find the area that I want to evaluate, click once, double click to complete, and then it gives me all my measurements automatically, and then you can view those from any of the different views. You can view them in your 3D rendering, and then again, independently in the axial view as I scroll through, these measurements are just specific to that particular slice. And that's a quick run-through, simple run-through of using the Carestream 3D Airway Evaluation tool.